back to Cousin John Car Stuff. Now, disclaimer, I am not an attorney. I am not giving legal advice. So, what I'm about to give as advice is personal advice from 45 years of being around car deals, car transactions, and what I'm about to inform you of, some of it reflects personal experience or close to my personal experience. So, with that being said, a person who we shall refer to as X reached out to me with a car deal situation. And in short, what happened is X traded an expensive vehicle for an inexpensive vehicle, which, okay, so now the trade-in is worth more than what the vehicle is that's being bought. But the twist is that the vehicle traded, the expensive one, the lien was never paid off on that. And to top that off, the dealer, who we shall refer to as Y, sold the vehicle they took in trade to a party out of state, yet has not yet paid the lien off. Person X is still writing a check each month for a vehicle that they no longer have. And the paperwork and certificate of title reflecting ownership has person X as the owner with a lien. So there's a person in another state who is driving this vehicle traded in, who does not have a title and will not get a title, while person Y, or person X, sorry, is still writing a check each month to the lien holder. Now, due to this, the vehicle that X traded for, which was a lower priced vehicle, it's a step down, I believe, when you take a vehicle and trade for a lower priced vehicle. The one they traded for, the loan was revoked or voided since the traded vehicle has not been paid off, as I understand it. So my advice to X, because I had this happen, a dealer sold me a car with no title. I have video on that. And I have another instance. Can't recall the name of the video right off the top of my head. But my daughter sold a car. The purchaser never transferred the title to their name. And she was being sent notices for red light violations back when red light cameras were in use, and for toll road violations. And so I had to take certain steps, researched on my own, to get that squared away. So my advice to person X is to go to the Central Tax Office. Person X is also in Texas, as am I. So what I say applies in this case. You go to the Central Tax Office with all documentation and paperwork. You take, excuse me, before you do that, run a Carfax, because the Carfax may reflect that the vehicle has been sold in this other state, the trade-in vehicle. And the result is that person X does not have the vehicle they traded in. They do not have the vehicle that they stepped down to. So they have no vehicle at all. Because Carfax, if it shows vehicles sold in other state, is further documentation, and it'll show a title number, etc. So person X goes to the Central Tax Office, or DMV. They take all paperwork, take the Carfax as well, show all the documentation, traded in expensive vehicle, and the loan was not paid off, and here's the date the vehicle was traded, and since that date, here's my payment history, still making payments on this expensive vehicle. And as you can see from Carfax, it shows that it has since been sold to a person in another state. And the DMV, or Tax Assessor Collector's Office, as the case may be, will promptly assign an investigator, because the issue here is that it goes across state lines. So it's no longer just a state of Texas issue. No, it isn't. Now, the DMV will then go to dealer Y, because dealer Y, if the Texas Motor Vehicle Code, I think it is looked up, I know of nowhere that you can sell a vehicle whereby the seller does not have certificate of title or proof of ownership. So what I see on the surface is, if you are selling your vehicle to a dealer, at the time you sell your vehicle, the dealer wants your title. The dealer will not accept, oh, trust me, I'll bring you the title or mail it to you at some point in the future, go ahead and pay me. No. So that's one problem that I see, selling a vehicle for which you do not have proof of ownership and are not the owner of. Even if the dealership paperwork says person X traded in vehicle A, in exchange for this trade-in, person X gets vehicle B, that doesn't matter. The dealer, and I looked it up as best as I can recall, something in the Transportation Code, Motor Vehicle Code, somewhere in there, it's that a dealer shall not offer, advertise, or sell a vehicle without title in hand, something along that line. So there's problem number one. Problem number two is that a person in another state is now driving the expensive trade-in. And as with my daughter, if this individual has red light cameras, speed cameras, toll roads, next thing you know, person X is receiving bills in the mail in Texas for all these violations in the other state. And some states, from what I understand, are owner liability. So if purchaser of expensive trade-in is in an accident causing serious harm or injury, as I understand it, again, I'm not an attorney, this is just my understanding. If Texas is an owner liability state, in this other state, something happens, accident, injury, or whatever, then the folks in Texas would be knocking on your door. Excuse me, person X, we understand you own this vehicle and this event took place, and we want to know what's going on. Now you have to jump through the hoops of the authorities. Here's the paperwork. We traded in this vehicle to dealer Y. We found dealer Y sold it to a person in another state. And it gets to be a mess. So my advice for person X is take all documentation to the tax office, the DMV, whatever it is in your part of Texas, and along with Carfax, go ahead and hand over the dollars for Carfax and hope it shows vehicle sold or titled, whatever other state, which gives massive credibility to you. And as well, and I had to do this with my daughter where she was getting bills for red light violations, toll road bills, etc. I contacted investigative reporter for each of the television stations in my area and just outlined my daughter sold a car and she's now getting bills, da 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 da, and I'll do a video on that coming up. And the investigative reporter jumped right on it, first one, got an email, when can I call you to get more information, do you have documentation of all this? And I had a file folder, and I had a file folder about that thick, and said of course, and I met up with the reporter for the story. Now this is many years ago, it may not even be there anymore, but at the time they did the story, and the city which had the car impounded owned the car, sold the car at impound auction. Instead of going after the purchaser, they went after a previous owner, my daughter. So this puts the heat on dealership Y, because now they have the DMV with an investigator coming after them, and they have the media, and no dealership likes the media coming after them. Now person Y had mentioned filing a lawsuit. I'd say go ahead, speak to an attorney, person X. Person X, not person Y. Y is the dealer, X is the person. Person X, go ahead, speak to an attorney. Though my thoughts there, just my thoughts, are that the judicial system, a glacier moves faster than the judicial system. It could be months, it could drag on for years with the dealer filing continuances and everything else. And then there's the attorney fees. Just to make up a number, you're trying to get this amount of money from the dealer, and the attorney fees are double what you're trying to get. It wouldn't make financial sense, plus the time factor of the judicial system. So my advice, person X, is to take and get all documentation together. File folder, every piece, every scrap of paper you have, even with the harm you've been done by having no means to obtain a loan for the car that you traded expensive vehicle for. And the state will certainly go after the after dealer Y. Now one thing, and I was doing research earlier, dealers have to post a bond to be in business. Now, I know very little about this. I go with numbers. I'm 20-25% that there's a means that the tax office, the DMV, the central location, not a satellite location, if the central location is downtown, that's where you go. In any case, there may be a means to file against the dealership bond. And again, DMV, tax assessor, collector's office, whatever it is in your part of Texas, may be able to guide you through this. So the DMV, the media, and the dealer's bond, that dealer will be sweating bricks. And of course, the dealer will deny. No, we didn't do anything wrong. Oh, it was a paperwork mix-up. So, see what can be done. Now, it's possible, person X, you could speak to an attorney, and consultations are free typically, or get a hold of the Bar Association for your city. And attorneys, as I understand it, have to do a certain amount of pro bono work. All you're asking is, if I go to small claims court, what do you feel? And we'll see what the limit in Texas is in small claims court. The caution there, absolutely you can go to small claims court, judge says award for the plaintiff, which is person X, and the amount of limit of small claims court. But then, that's the easy part. Now, how do you collect from the dealer? That could be a whole nother mess. In small claims court, as I understand it, you have to get subpoenas and everything else. So I don't know about that. So that's my thoughts, the best route to take. While I can fully understand emotions run high, we're going to sue them, we're going to own that dealership. The legal route could be months, could be years. I mean, it's all up to you, person X. But I would take the path of least resistance at this point, and maybe file a lawsuit later. I don't know the timeline of, and if person X can let me know what the timeline is. If it was a few weeks ago, a few months ago, when they traded expensive vehicle to step down to a less expensive vehicle, that would be appreciated. So I know this is a long video, but I had a lot of thoughts and just wanted to re-emphasize some points. And person X, you know who you are. Keep me posted if you would. And as we've done before when we've communicated, not a problem. You let me know, I let you know, and we take care of that conversation the way we did previous. But that's where we are. I know I've repeated myself a few times, but it's just, I have a tendency to do that, and sometimes I say something, and a person doesn't absorb it, or it is said in such a way, they wonder, what did John say? So if you like what you saw, please like, share, subscribe. Again, I am not an attorney. I am not giving legal advice. I have had a couple occasions similar to this, and are just passing on my personal experience, how this appears to parallel some of my personal experience and how I handled it at that time. So, hope everything goes good, person X. Please let me know how this turns out, and we shall see you next time through. Hope this helps out folks other than person X, and take care. Thanks for watching.